Stream of consciousness from an angry father plus 8-year update. I have been struggling to write this for the past 6 months, but hopefully I get it right this time. I'm not writing this for words of assistance or encouragement. This isn't a cry for help. I'm writing this because my friends don't have children and they can't possibly understand, and I just need to know that someone has seen this who can relate. My daughter's second birthday was last August. We had a wonderful time, a ton of her classmates over, music, the works. The next day, she had a fever, but was otherwise fine. After getting her up from her afternoon nap, as she climbed up to join my wife and I on the couch, I noticed she only used her left arm to pull herself up. Given that she's right-handed, and she normally uses 2 hands, it was concerning. I offered her a snack, which she promptly reached for only with her left hand. It soon became apparent that she couldn't move her right arm at all, so we rushed her to urgent care. My wife works with children, so we were familiar with nursemaid's elbow. A few hours later, we had gone through 2 attempts to fix nursemaids, 2 x-rays, 2 social workers, making sure we didn't beat her, and couple doctors before finally being told to head to the ER. We live nearby one of the best children's hospitals in the country, so we rushed to the emergency room there. At this point, I am embarrassed that I can no longer remember what tests they ran, but we were there until about 6 a.m., with no idea of what it could be. Finally, we were told to schedule an MRI and go home, despite the fact that my daughter's right arm was completely paralyzed. Returning the following week, with no improvements, they finally admitted us for a continued test. Every sort of specialist I could imagine was called for consultations until we finally arrived at a diagnosis after about 5 days in the hospital: acute flaccid myelitis. She got a norovirus that in 99% of children would just result in a cold, but manifested as a fever and inflammation around the spinal cord. This caused a few of the nerve cells around her spine to be suffocated and die, resulting in paralysis of her right arm. They quickly got her on medication to fight off the virus and reduce the swelling, but the damage was permanent. Acute flaccid myelitis was seen in numbers in 2014 randomly, and almost no reported cases in 2015. Then, for a yet unknown reason, a large number of cases happened last year. Some children make a full recovery after a couple years, some make none, and some get varying degrees of movement back. Unlike normal nerve regrowth, the issue here is that the nerves in her arm are working perfectly, but the damage is around her spine, and that makes any attempts at surgery dangerous. For the past 6 months, I have been taking anywhere from between 1 and 3 days a week off of work to take her to occupational therapy visits, neurosurgeon and neurologist visits, or swim classes. Those days still need to be made up at work, though. Thankfully, I work in IT, and my job has been incredibly understanding with this, but I am also the primary source of income by a huge margin. So I end up working nights, sometimes until 2 a.m., only to wake up at 6 and repeat the process. Weekends involve a swim class and trying to get out of the house and visit family. We call her right arm her lucky arm, after Nemo. Nemo has a lucky fin, Toothless has a lucky tail, and my daughter has a lucky arm. She's too young to know anything is different, but I see it in the faces of other parents. They recognize, and despite their best efforts, I see the pity in their eyes. We've seen minor improvements over the past 6 months with my daughter's arm, but nothing resembling real-world skills. Her muscles are beginning to atrophy in places where it's hard for us to get constant effort in therapy. We've been discussing surgical options for months, and we may be able to do a nerve transplant at the end of March. It's relatively non-invasive and doesn't involve her spine, but its returns are low and would involve weakening other parts of her body. I still see my friends, but we're all 28, and most of them aren't even married, let alone have children. I don't ever mean to sound rude to them, but they just cannot understand what it is to love like that. I don't get out nearly as often as I should, but I have so little time. The real reason I'm writing this is because I'm sad and angry. All the time. There's not a moment in the day where I'm not ready to either burst into tears or punch a hole in the wall. I know I have to focus on what she is going for her, but it's so hard to. I see children who are older than her doing amazing things, and it kills me to know that she will never be able to do those things. We were filing out taxes and realized, for the first time, that we have a dependent who is considered disabled. I'm tired all of the time, and trying to focus is a major problem. I spend most car rides alone in tears, as it's the one time where I can just cry and not show weakness to my wife or my daughter. My wife is going to try and find someone I can talk to professionally, But the medical bills are horrendous, and since our deductible/ out-of-pocket have reset with the new year, it's compounding. My wife just quit her job to spend more time with my daughter, but can't tell her family, as her dad would be livid. She is pushing to go to Disney later in the year for my daughter, as we could use something to look forward to, but I have no earthly idea how we could ever afford it. I've never been religious, but this has killed any chance of that ever happening. I refuse to believe in a higher power that could allow this. Most days I feel like I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm writing this in the hopes that someone will read this who can empathize. Just to know that someone understands. 8-year update. So, I originally posted this here 8 years ago. I've wanted to write this for years, but I just never really knew how. Was my life complete shit? Absolutely not. You can even see my post history making dumb dad jokes while dealing with the insanity. But jokes have always been my escape. My daughter is 11 years old as of August, and we celebrated Lucky, her right arm, turning 9 around the same time frame. I would like to think that I did everything right, but I really struggled for a long time. I was the first in my friend group to have a kid, and so no one I talked to really understood. I did a lot of therapy, both with my wife and alone. I was angry at the world for years, and every little thing she struggled to do made me hate everyone and everything a little bit more. I always wanted 2 kids, and my wife and I never even entertained the idea of having another, just so we could help focus on our daughter. She had a bout with depression caused by Lyme disease, and that was a real dark time for the family. She can't do so many things kids her age can do. And you know what? She's just crushing life right now. Nothing has been easy for her, but man, do I genuinely look up to this kid. She's the strongest human being on the planet. Despite her nerve transfer surgery, most of her right arm is still paralyzed. Despite that, she did competitive cheer for a couple years and even got to base, where you hold up other kids in your hands. She just used her left hand to hold on to her right hand real tight and was just uncomfortable. But she did it because she wanted to and because she could. She loves to swim. Absolutely amazing at it. Despite her right arm flopping around in the water, she finds workarounds for most things. Most of the time, my wife and I can't help explain those things because we don't know them. She just figures it out. And the best part is that there is no shame whatsoever. When she meets new people, she is the first to bring up, "Hi, I have a lucky right arm, which means I can't use it. It's partially paralyzed." She encourages people to ask questions about it instead of shy away. She gave a presentation in school a previous year going over her rare disease. They were reading a book last year about a person born with only one arm, and a kid in her class said to the teacher that, "I don't think having only one arm would be that big of a deal." And before the teacher could ever answer, my daughter shot her hand up, and the teacher just let her calmly explain all the struggles she goes through, and that's with having a single finger on that hand that works, let alone an entire missing arm. I would love to say she gets the strength from me or my wife, but I think this is just who she is. The struggles she's had to get through have made her better than I could ever hope to be. I still sometimes cry about it, like writing all this, but my God, is most of it joy now. I distinctly recall the first time my wife and I were able to make a joke about Lucky. It felt really wrong, but we made jokes about uncomfortable things to cope with, and it seemed like a sign that maybe life wasn't completely horrible. Now we host a charity walk in a video game. Would have done it in real life, but we started during COVID every year. Last year, we raised over $4,700 for a charity specific to her rare disease, acute flaccid myelitis. We streamed the charity walk online, and she is the star of the show, being silly and goofy, and like all kids, a little frustrating. But she talks about the good and the bad and how she got this rare disease and all the things she can do in spite of it. My wife and I have Nemo tattoos on our right arms so the whole family can have a lucky arm. To be honest, I don't really have a purpose for writing this. I don't post here, but I often read the posts and comments. So many wonderful people reached out from my last post, either in comments or DMs. I couldn't bring myself to respond, but I think about it a lot. I really appreciate all the responses and kind words, despite us being strangers. It's the kind of thing I think the world could use a lot more of. So I guess I wanted to say thank you to everyone. And for the dads out there who are struggling, you are not alone. I am available to talk, to listen. I'm sure I'm not dealing with the same thing as you, and it's possible no one here is dealing with the exact same situation. But we're all in this world together, and we can all be better. Please don't suffer alone. I'm sure I can't fix anything in your life, but I can listen and make sure you know someone has your back. Life goes on. I love all you dads and lurking moms and just people. Thanks for being there when I needed it.